Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me. We're delighted that you are joining us on a regular basis, Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock till 5, because obviously it's free to watch. You'll get opinion, and we can engage with you, and you can engage with your fellow viewers as well. And thank you to so many of you for showing your support over the year. The figures are in, and they're absolutely fantastic. We're delighted that you have remained committed to us over, 10 years, Ruffy? It's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing when you see some of the photographs in the studio, you know, where we've been and who we've had on and everything, and things have moved on quite considerably.
Absolutely. We've had different pundits as well alongside us, Ruffy. Some of them have stayed with us for a while, some have kissed the badge and are off skate, and, you know, it just happens, Tam, doesn't it?
It does. If a better offer comes along, you've got to go and take it.
Yep, absolutely. And, I have to say that's great news, because it saves me billeting them. Anyway, we've got a big game to talk about, Celtic against Rangers. Give us your thoughts on that. And with that in mind, I thought of an absolute belter. I've had a good week, Ruffy, coming up with questions that I think will test you. And here's today's question. Name the last two Scottish managers that were in charge for an Old Firm derby. So that must get you thinking.
Against each other directly?
Yes. One was in charge of Rangers, one was in charge of Celtic.
Both Scottish?
Both Scottish. If you think you know the answer, then pop it in the comments section, and we'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. And quite a few people will be getting their thinking caps on right now, trying to come up with a couple of names. I thought it was a good question anyway. What about the competition? It's still ongoing. It's another magnificent competition courtesy of PLZ Soccer. This is your chance to win this fantastic framed and signed print of Brian Laudrup scoring for Rangers in that unforgettable game up at Tannadice. That goal secured Rangers 9 in a row, and for your chance to win, all you have to do is make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and answer this simple question: from which club did Rangers sign Brian Laudrup? If you know the answer, pop it in the comments section below, and make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck. Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with that. It's a belter of a competition, isn't it, Ruffy?
It's great, you know, and it's in a frame, which makes a big bit of difference in getting it in a wee scroll.
Absolutely. You're going to get it in a frame. The one that you see in the competition there, you won't be getting that one. That's going over Ruffy's head. But you will get one in
Peter's
a frame.
paying the postage for the frame.
Absolutely. It's well, it'll come out of the Champions League budget, which means only one of you is going. Anyway, thank you to so many of you. Remember, this is the last time. The question, just in case you don't understand it, is the last time an Old Firm game, the two Scottish managers head-to-head in the dugout were Scottish. One for Rangers, one for Celtic. So always good to test your knowledge of this fantastic fixture. And it is a fantastic fixture to look forward to. Maybe not as good as it once was because of only one set of fans who are going to be there. And again, at a time when I think Michael Beale is desperately hoping that Rangers can go to Celtic Park and win to reignite the title race, then it would have been possibly, I think, Ruffy, great to see 7,000 Rangers fans there all cheering them on, but it's going to be an intimidating atmosphere with no Rangers fans.
I think it's going to be interesting, you know, from both sets of players after the game, how they react to that kind of atmosphere. You know, obviously Celtic are at home, but it'd be interesting to get a slant on the Rangers boys, you know, how they felt when they walked out and saw that 60,000 supporters there. Was it very difficult to get their head round? Was it very difficult for them to settle into the game with everything that's going to go on? So it's going to be a really, really interesting game for both teams, because obviously Celtic are playing well, the team's right behind them. If they're struggling a wee bit, it can go the other way. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah, okay, we've already discussed the fans ad nauseum. The big issues now are managers' team selection. Hatate out for Celtic, Raskin available for Rangers. Okay, how big a blow is Hatate?
I think it's a big blow for Celtic. I think when you look at Celtic's team, I think your four best players are Carter Vickers, McGregor, Hatate and Kyogo. I think that's the four best players that Celtic have got, and I think one of them is missing. And listen, I think Moy will come in. You know, if he's fit, he'll come in. But I think Hatate gives you something different. You know, he's dynamic. He can get forward. He can score goals. He's got a great strike. He's already scored against Rangers before. So no, I think that's a massive blow for Celtic, but they've got quality to come in and replace him. But you'd rather him in the team.
I would agree 100%. For me, he's been the player of the year. You know, he's been outstanding in everything he does. And when you lose a player like that, it's a blow. But as we've said on numerous occasions, Celtic have got enough to come in. I don't think they've got anybody coming in as good as him, but they'll still fit into the pattern that Celtic play.
Well, Hatate is one player that won't play. Who do you think's coming in?
I don't know. I think O'Reilly maybe. You know, I think at the end of the day...
Not Iwata.
No, I don't think so. I think that'd be just a wee bit too much for him. You know, I think at the end of the day, it's about getting, for Celtic, it's about getting domination in the middle of the park and getting the ball wide into the people who are going to hurt Rangers and firing balls into the box for the movement that they've got in there. So, you know, I think he's been there, tried and trusted. So I think it might be just too big for the other boy.
Well, I mean, Hatate came in his first Old Firm derby. You know, he scored 2 goals, so... You know, I think he'd be able to handle it. I was impressed with him last week against Ross County, but it's a different kettle of fish playing against Rangers. But I think your midfield will probably be, if Moy's fit, I think it will be McGregor, Moy and O'Reilly. Okay, who drops out for Rangers, Ruffy, if Raskin's coming in? It's an interesting one because they wanted Raskin and Cantwell the last time, didn't get it, didn't work out. He got a lot of criticism. Lundstrom was the man that maybe he wanted him to solidify that midfield, but it didn't materialise.
No, I think Lundstrom was the one that the Rangers supporters are a wee bit critical of. You know, he does what he does, you know, but I don't think he's going to win you games, you know. And I think Rangers will really have to try and have a go this time on a forward aspect of the game. I think the last time against Celtic they played him because they were sitting in to try to get possession of the ball and give it to other people. So no, I think they'll leave him out and bring Thingy in, Raskin.
Okay.
Thingy?
Yeah, Thingy.
Thingy Raskin.
Let's find out what the captains have to say.
With spring around the corner, the temperature is certainly heating up in the Premiership title race as we get closer to the major honours being handed out. This weekend, Celtic go head-to-head with Rangers in a game that could have a huge say on where the Premiership title goes at the end of the season. So far, Callum McGregor has had the bragging rights over his counterpart James Tavernier, having already won at the League Cup in February. He's hoping to take his side 12 points clear at the top this weekend.
It certainly strengthens our position. You know, we're sort of running out of games now, obviously. Our focus is, as always, to try and play our best game of the season when it comes next, and this one is on Saturday, so we would try to do the absolute maximum to win the game, and if we do, then of course we understand what the consequence of that is. It puts us another win closer to where we want to be. So for us, that's the full focus, and like you said, after the game, we'll see where we are.
The Rangers skipper knows the significance of keeping their city rivals in their sights and just how vital Saturday can be in closing the gap.
Like I said, every game's a must-win, and tomorrow's no different. And we obviously know there's a certain number of games left to the end of the season. We've just got to, you know, try win every single one of those games and see where it takes us.
Both captains certainly know all about each other. In fact, Callum McGregor hasn't faced any other player more than James Tavernier in his career.
Yeah, of course, you know, he's done great as well. You know, he's the captain of a big side, a big club as well. So, you know, you understand the responsibility that goes with that, and just for me in that side as well, what you need to give in your personal life to be able to do the job properly. So, you know, of course, there's a mutual respect there. But, you know, of course, both of us are doing everything we can to make our club successful, and when we cross that white line onto the pitch, then, you know, you want to give everything that you can to, like I said, make your club successful.
Tavernier, meanwhile, said he was looking forward to the next chapter in the battle with his familiar opponent.
I don't really know him off the pitch. I think I first played him when I was at Newcastle in a Hong Kong Sevens, I think it was. It was a long time ago. But yeah, we obviously played against each other a lot of times, and you know, he's obviously the captain now, so yeah, it's just one of those.
Whilst Celtic Park will be filled with home support due to a cutaway allocation, there will be no Rangers fans in attendance this weekend. But Callum McGregor says he's hopeful that a bigger allocation can be made in the future, but is well aware this weekend he can use that as an advantage for his side.
I think it can a little bit. You know, I think I've spoken about this before. You know, hopefully as a spectacle we can sort of get it back to, you know, where it was maybe a few years ago, where there was bigger crowds in the stadium. I think it just adds a little bit of something different. So of course we have to accept it for the time being. And my thought is that hopefully we can get back to having the bigger allocation what we've had a few years ago.
Having played with and without travelling fans in the past, the Rangers defender agrees that a sizable allocation makes for a better spectacle.
It's obviously something that I've played with, and you do get a real sense of atmosphere when you get that amount of fans. But I'm not the person who can decide that, and it's obviously people up above, and whatever they choose, and us as players just got to go on the pitch and just get on with it and play the game.
James Tavernier will lead his side out at Parkhead on Saturday, knowing nothing less than a win will do to keep the pressure on his rivals. Meanwhile, Callum McGregor will have his side fired up and raining for yet another league title. So just who will come out on top? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll keep you updated right across PLZ Soccer's social media platforms, pre-match, in-game and post-match coverage.
What did you make of that last point that he made there, Tam? That exact last point that he made?
What was that?
Exactly, because you were on your bloody phone. What did you make of what he said there, Ruffy?
I think it would like an opinion. He's saying the powers of be will decide that, but we want to know what the players think. Then I'm sure if he was honest enough, he would say, yeah, he wants a crowd in.
Yeah, that's the first thing. They had a lot of players that played against each other, down through the years. It's hard to imagine, but those two have played against each other the most.
Yeah, well, they have the captains. You would expect them to play most of the games. There's been a lot of to and froing. When new players coming in at Celtic, new players coming in at Rangers, they've been constant all the time. So they'll know what it's all about. But as I said just at the beginning of the show, it'll be interesting how they get their heads around a stadium full of one supporters.
Yeah. One of the things that we've got to look at is obviously your thoughts on it. Give us your prediction on the match, whether you think it's going to be a draw, Celtic, or a Rangers win. And if you can back it up by giving us your thoughts on how you think your team is going to win, then we'll read it out and Tam and Ruffy will react to it as well. Of course, the big news, no Hatate for Celtic. Ange Postecoglou reckons there's more than enough in reserve.
Disappointing for him to miss out. He tried really hard to sort of be available, but it hasn't quite worked out. So you're always disappointed for the player that they're not available. But from a team perspective, we get Aaron back, and which is great for us. We've got good quality in that area of the park. Last week we had to play without Aaron and Reo, and the boys handled it really well. So from a team perspective, still confident the team we'll put out there will be able to perform at the levels we need.
Everybody's obviously trying to second guess who's going to play, Tam, and what formation they're going to play in, who's going to come in. We've been debating it ourselves. Are Celtic just one of those predictable teams now that you know exactly what you're getting with them? It's attack. First 20 minutes, you've just got to survive the onslaught.
Yeah, listen, I think we know the way Celtic like to play. With 4-3-3, two wide men, with Kyogo through the middle. He's got plenty of options in the wide areas, and he's got options in the middle of the park. So, although Hatate is going to be a miss for Celtic, I think he's the second best midfield player at the club after McGregor. Then you've got Moyti come in, you've got Iwata, you've got O'Reilly, who's been off the boil a wee bit for me. O'Reilly, the last few games I've seen him. So I think that's the only big call that they could maybe have. They could maybe throw Iwata in instead of O'Reilly.
There's the predicted Celtic 11. It changes every now and then because you never really know what the manager's thinking when he's seen them all week and he has a game plan. Hart, Johnston, Vickers, Starfelt, Taylor, McGregor, Moy, O'Reilly, Jota, Kyogo, Maeda.
Yeah, as I say, the only one you could maybe contemplate would be O'Reilly, maybe dropping out for Iwata. Apart from that, I think that'll be the team. I've never felt comfortable with Starfelt playing the left hand side of the back four. I think he's better on the right hand side. Obviously, Carter Vickers is more comfortable there, and Taylor, who picked up a little knock, who seems to be fit as well. So I think if you're Rangers, that's probably the area you're maybe trying to target, would be in between Starfelt and Taylor. I think Sakala could possibly play wide right, or Kent. That's probably an area where you could maybe exploit Celtic, but apart from that, their team's very, very strong. Yeah,
and of course the good thing about it, Ruffy, is we're getting to a situation where all the pub talk about who's the best team, if there's a gap, what is that gap, can Rangers close the gap with the points tally at the top. There's so many unanswered questions, but it tends to deliver over the 90 minutes a viewpoint on who's the strongest, who's going to win the title, we tend to get the answers on the park rather than listening to all of us, blowing out wind constantly on these opinions once you see them and how they play against each other. So Rangers have 14 wins and 1 draw since Michael Beale took over. The only defeat he's had in the cup competition is against Celtic. So does he have to do something drastically different this time? Does he have to, as Tam mentioned there, that opening 20 minutes, suck it up, block them and then try and pick them off? Or is it head to head a slugfest?
I think they have to come out in the forward footing. I think they have to really, show intent that they aren't going to sit back. They're going to let Celtic with the home advantage and the crowd behind them, that they're going to make a game of it. Because if they sit back, we've already touched on it, and Celtic have got the players to hurt you in the wide positions. And I think the big players for Celtic are the two fullbacks. Two fullbacks are up the park most of the time as well. So no, I think we're all looking to see, if Rangers do anything different. But I keep hearing the Rangers players saying, the gap's not as big as what it is. It's not about the gap. It's about what you do on the day. That's the proof in the pudding.
Yeah.
And I just feel that Rangers are trying to say to themselves, well, we're winning 2-1 at Ibrox, that the last game could have went either way. They're sort of hanging on to, hope, rather than saying, right, we're good enough to go there and win this.
Well, Michael Beale knows exactly what's at stake.
I think that's obvious. We've obviously, since I come back in, it's 15 league games, 14 wins and a draw. We've played our part. It's fair to say Celtic have played their part as well and have done equally as well as us, because our form's been fantastic. And the players in that sense have done nearly everything they can do. After tomorrow, we'll know whether we're 3 points closer, whether we're no closer or we're 3 points further behind. I think ultimately, all we can do is win our games, and it's Celtic's league to throw away or to lose, if you like, and it doesn't look like at this moment in time, outside of the games with us, that they will drop points.
Yeah, it's a big call. What about the Rangers side, Tam? Have a look and see. I've thrown in a spanner in the works where I think everybody might disagree with it. McGregor, Tavernier, Golson, Davis and Barisic, Lundstrom, Jack, Cantwell, Tillman, Kent and Sakala. I think the obvious one is, he's back, he's fit, he's been training all week. Raskin coming in, who drops out?
Yeah, Lundstrom drops out for me. Lundstrom's been part of the Rangers team that's been battered at Celtic Park the last couple of times, so I think he drops out. Didn't think he was great in the semi-final either. I think if you can't play, unless he's going to go really defensive, I think that'd be really defensive if you play Lundstrom and Jack, and you have the two of them sitting in front of your back four, then that's defensive, to try and stay in the game. But I think Raskin will play. I think he made a big error not playing Raskin and Cantwell in the final, and I think he got a lot of criticism from that from the Rangers supporters. But the rest of that team, I think, will be Rangers' team. But what would concern me as a Rangers fan is the last two performances. I think Celtic have not been great. I think they're poor at Ibrox, and I didn't think they were great in the semi-final. And they've won one and drawn one. So I think if you're a Celtic fan, you're thinking, if we turn up and play well on the day, how are Rangers going to beat us? We've been poor twice and they've failed to beat us. So I think you look at that Rangers team, and I don't think there's much in that team that Celtic would fear.
Yeah, well, Matt says if Lundstrom plays, Rangers lose.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And Joseph, who is obviously a Celtic fan, says Lundstrom and Jack would be great. So that gives you a little indication of it. I just think if he goes toe to toe with Celtic, Ruffy, I think there's only one outcome.
Yeah, it's okay saying that, but things...
I'm giving you an opinion, that's what the programme's all about.
But things in a game can happen, and we've seen, everybody says that, Old Firm games can turn on their head by a wee bit of luck or a mistake or something like that. I just think Rangers have to be in the front foot, and that three, he's got the forward three and the striker, will be in the front foot. They'll want to be on the ball, they'll be wanting to doing things in the last third of the park, and try and hurt Celtic in the defensive areas, because it's okay to say we've had 14 wins and one thing. They've not been tested. No, they've never seen any of either of the two of their teams being tested under pressure. So it'll be interesting to see if one of them's got any more pressure than the other, how they stand up to it.
Peter, I agree with that. I think Rangers have done what you would expect them to do. They've won all their games and they've drew with Celtic. I think that's expected. I think the gap, we've already spoke about it so many times in this show, the gap between Rangers and Celtic and the rest is as big as it's ever been.
Yeah.
So I do not see, any teams taking points off of Celtic Rangers for now at the end of the season.
I mean, Celtic are beating all the other teams. It's an average of 3 to 5 goals.
Yeah, but the Celtics, and Rangers are winning games comfortably as well against the rest, so it's going to come down to the Old Firm games. Unfortunately, Rangers have left themselves too much to do.
Rangers have to stop Celtic having 75% possession of the ball. Every time Celtic go into a game against any of the others, they're all 75%, 80%. If that is the case, Rangers are going to win the game. Rangers have to get their equal share of possession in the 90 minutes.
So I've given you an opinion, which is if Rangers go toe-to-toe with Celtic, I don't think they'll win. What's your opinion on what he's going to do then?
I wish I knew. He can't sit in. He's got to get possession of the ball. He's got to give it to players like Kent, Tillman if they're playing, get them in forward areas, put balls into the box. Because if Celtic, as I said, have possession of the ball, that's not going to happen.
Right. So high press?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's got to get in about them. He has to identify in the last games that they've played the certain player who have hurt them more than others, and they're the ones that you've got to stop playing. You've got to sit in that dressing room and say, is it Jota? Is it him? Is it one of the fullbacks? Or is it McGregor? It's got to identify the people who hurt you.
And if he does that, Tam, does he have to replicate when he was part of that team that Steven Gerrard took to Celtic Park and won the game?
I don't think it'll high press. I totally disagree with Ruffy. I think that what he's got to do is he's got to sit in first 20-25 minutes, and I think he's got ball carriers in the team. I think he's got Ryan Kent, he's got Sakala, he's got Tillman. He's got people, when you give them, when you're deep in your own half, they can carry the ball and get you out. I wouldn't. If I'm Rangers, I wouldn't be opening up early doors and having a kind of basketball game where you attack, we attack. I think there's only one winner. I think Celtic's got too much quality. I think the best recipe for Rangers to win the game is to sit in the first 20-25 minutes, frustrate Celtic, don't let them score early, and then gradually build into the game. But they can sit deep. But if you sit deep, you need to have players with pace and ball carriers that can get you up the pitch. And I think Rangers have got that. So I think that's the best way for Rangers to get a result is to sit deep, soak it up early, and then try and push up later on in the second half and get players up the pitch. But
how they're going to get Sakala on the ball is key to me, because I think he's the one player that it might be direct and run at that back line.
Yeah.
He's proved before that he can do it. He just needs to be more clinical when he's in that final third.
Yeah, I'd play him through the middle, Peter. I'd play him as a main striker. I wouldn't play Morelos or Colak.
What's happened to Colak? Is he just out the
He's injury problems, but I don't think he's suited. For me, he's a Chris Boyd type. He's a penalty box striker. I don't think Rangers are not going to have 70% and 100 crosses into the box in this game.
No,
I think he's a guy you bring on later on if you need to score. But for me, you play Sakala, and it gives you an out ball. Sometimes you feel back, there's nothing on, bang, just put it in the channel. He's going to chase after everything, Peter. He's got pace. He's going to cause them problems. And what happens with that pace is the Celtic's back two are not going to push up. I was at the Celtic Hibs game,
halfway line, and
Celtic's centre half from the halfway line.
Yeah,
there's no threat in behind. I think you can't do that with Sakala. You can't play that high because it ain't ball over the top. It's a foot race he's going to do you. So that will force Celtic back a wee bit. So I think it's a lot of chess in this game. But I think Rangers' best recipe is to play Sakala through the middle and have your ball carriers, maybe Tillman and Kent wide, and play deeper and then try and get the ball out to them. And if you're in trouble, you pump it over the top to Sakala to get you up the park.
And if Raskin is playing in the middle of that park alongside Cantwell and Tillman, can they win that battle against Celtic's midfield even without Hatate?
Yeah, they have to show bravery and courage on the ball, Rangers. They have to get on the ball and play. It's not easy in that atmosphere at Celtic Park, 60,000, booing and rolling Celtic on. But I think they've got technical players in there. Celtic have got technical players in there that can keep the ball. Rangers at times, when I've seen them the last few times at Parkhead, it's been a hot potato. They've not kept the ball well enough, and it ends up just being wave after wave of attack. Rangers have got technical players in there to keep the ball, and if they do that, they can open up spaces for Celtic. But the midfield is going to be a key battle, but I think you've got to play Sakala. I think Rangers, if they're going to play deeper, they need pace at the top end of the park to get them up.
Yep. Celtic to win the game would be 8-13. Roughy. Rangers 15-4. The draws 16-5. Kyogo to score first, 4-1. If you were going for a Colak, if he did surprise us with that start, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise. But nevertheless, he's 8-1.
No, I think the bookies don't get it wrong many times, and the advantage that Celtic have got with the crowd and the home advantage would say, odds on to win the game.
Yep, okay, give us your thoughts on it. It's certainly going to be an absolute cracker. We're really looking forward to it, and of course our reporter Kerry Pollock will be there giving you all the colour and the build up to it on our social media across YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. And over and above that, let's not forget that at 4 o'clock Adam Binney will be here in the chair alongside Tam and Ruffy, the two of them, there to add their experience, as Adam will take you through not only the full time from Celtic Park, but we'll get the managers and the players' reaction, and we'll get Kerry on there. She'll be talking to fans and getting their thoughts on this game. Winner bust for Rangers. Give us your thoughts on that. How important is it to try and take something? Is it 3 points or bust on this one, or is it just it's gone anyway, it's all about pride? Give us your thoughts on that on the feed. And remember, it is, after all, as we approach this game, I always like to emphasise this, especially on our feed, it's only a game of football. It's not life or death. It's one of those games where we want people to actually go watch the game, wherever they're watching the game, Ruffy, not to in any way abuse people or indeed get themselves in trouble for it. Because the one thing that is the fallout from this game, and I think it's pertinent for us to mention it, is that a lot of people's lives are affected by the result of it, and it consumes them, and you don't want to see that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, people have to be responsible after the game. The services out there, are stretched to the limit. I know for a fact access and emergency wards are overrun after this kind of game for whatever reason, and there are, as you've touched on, other things can happen as well. So you'd like the supporters to be responsible during this, win or lose. Yeah, absolutely. So with that in mind, we've had a fairly not any mad comments on there, just of course gentle ribbing. I think there's another thing I would say on the flip side of that, Tam. There are a lot of people who are Celtic and Rangers fans who actually can noise each other up, have a laugh, great bit of banter, and then, painful as it is, sometimes they don't want to see their mates, but they can still get on with their life. It is, after all, only a game of football.
Yeah, it's a big game. Listen, football's massive in Scotland. It's the number one sport here. People take it seriously. But you're right, it's no life or death. There's more important things to go on in people's lives, but you're just hoping that the game goes off without any incident, and people can go to the game, enjoy it, and go home. If you get beat, you probably switch your phone off until Monday. You don't engage with anyone. If you win, then you can go out and have a pint, whatever. But listen, I genuinely think that Celtic are huge favourites to win this game, and this would be one of the best results for Rangers in a long time. To go to Parkhead with 60,000 against you, with that Celtic team that looks unbeatable under Ange Postecoglou at home, for Rangers to go and win the game would be massive news. Yeah, a massive result. I know you said earlier on in the week, Tam, you thought if they could win at Celtic Park, then it's title race back on, because there's obviously another game which will take place at Ibrox in the league as well. One thing that I thought it was probably ideal to mention at the tail end of this, because we've heard from the captains and the managers and talked about all the football issues, is VAR. I just hope that Kevin Clancy can just concentrate on the game, and if he has to go to that television screen with VAR, just to listen to them and then make his own call on it, because that's the way it really should be, to work quickly. Yeah, and listen, he's going to be under an enormous amount of pressure tomorrow, Kevin Clancy. It's a massive game. There's enormous scrutiny. 60,000 Celtic supporters shouting for every decision. He's got to be strong. And you're right. Hopefully, we're not talking about VAR after the game. That's something we hope we're not talking about. We hope he gets the big decisions right. He gets the right, help for VAR, and the game's won and lost by good play. And it's not by a big decision. And Kevin, hopefully it's a good game, because we don't want to be talking about him. He's under serious pressure. It's a big game for him as well. So I said, hopefully we're talking about the football on Monday, and no a handball or an offside that maybe went wrong. Because if it does happen, Ruffy, and I fear, because we've had a couple of games where there's not been all that many things that you're looking at and saying, oh, there hasn't been anything that I think has been a major mistake. And if it is, it's one of those situations where managers seize upon it and say, well, that was a determining factor in the outcome of the game. Well, I think both sets of players have got a responsibility as well. We've seen some players and other teams throwing themselves at the ground and
shouting for a penalty when they've not even been touched. So they have to be responsible as well. And I think the VAR has got most of the offsides and any bad challenges reasonably correct. It's a handball one. I really hope the game isn't won or lost and the ball hitting somebody's hand in an unnatural position and somebody getting a cheap penalty and winning a game. That would just, for me, just kill it.
Will your face be like that if it is a handball?
Kill it. I'll be screaming. If it is, I mean, imagine you lose it to somebody, the ball hitting their hand, and it's no. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope there's nothing like that. I just don't want to see your face on the telly like that, Ruffy. Okay, if it's Celtic Rangers, the one thing I haven't asked these guys is your prediction. Tam, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 3-1 to Celtic. I just think that I think they're better in every position than Rangers. I really do. I think they're stronger. I think the home advantage in this game is massive. You know, we've seen it a couple of seasons ago when Rangers were at home and when there was no Celtic fans there, you know, and Rangers just got that momentum for the fans. I think that Celtic are strong favourites for the bookies as well, and I can't see Rangers winning the game. You know, I don't see opening up. I think they'll try and keep it tight, but I think Celtic have got goals in them all over the park. Substitutions massive, 5 subs. You know, you look at Celtic's bench coming on, players coming on, cause Rangers problems as well. So I'm going to go for 3-1 to Celtic.
Okay, Ruffy?
I don't think this is done and dusted as everybody thinks it's going to be. I think Celtic are going to win the game. I think they'll have to work hard for it because I think Rangers know that this is last chance saloon and they need to do something in the game. But I think Hatate's a big miss. I really do. We saw the performance at Ross County last week. It wasn't particularly good, you know. So I'm still sticking with Celtic to win. 2-1.
Yep, that's only 23 seconds.
I don't think it's done and dusted. Then Celtic 2-1. So that's the league done and dusted.
Yeah, that's
I think the game's going. It's not going to be
what
3-1.
So it's such a big difference there with 2-1 and 3-1.
Is this a tight 2-1 or is it a comfortable 2-1?
Very tight.
Very tight 2-1. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Even our producer was yawning there as you started to answer that. I've gone 3-1. I just can't see Celtic losing at Celtic Park on this forum with the team they have. I might be wrong. I do like the line. I do like the line that came in there from one of the guys who says at the end of this game, Ange Postecoglou will be in a darkened room on the phone crying to Peter. I don't think he's got my number, and I won't be bothering my backside. To be honest with you, I love the games. I really do love them, and I share the views of James Tavernier and Callum McGregor and so many others. If they can somehow get round a table as a board, both boards, and start looking towards the future and making this a spectacle again with a huge amount of fans there. To make it what it is.
Is this the first time in history, Old Firm history, that there's been no away fans?
No, I think there's been a situation before.
Right, was there a ban or something? Was there people banned away from home? I can't think. I know COVID there was no fans, but I'm talking about in terms of. I don't know, it was maybe 700-800. Has there been no fans whatsoever, away fans?
Oh no, John Collins scored at Ibrox. There was no Celtic fans allowed.
Right, okay.
I can remember that. And I think there's been something after that as well. Someone might be able to refresh my memory on something else, but I remember there was a ban on Celtic fans to Ibrox, and it ended up a 1-1 draw. So it's and also Stephen Smith says Peter's always giving Ruffy a hard time. Give him a break. So Stephen, if only you realised, if only you realised in your life, Stephen, that there are some times when you don't get that 2.5 minutes back in your life when he's built it up and then suddenly says 2-1 Celtic. Anyway, it still doesn't. You still don't beat my favourite of all time. I have to say to you, because having
Gordon Strachan one.
No, this is better than that. Having sat next to him, a Rangers legend for 8 years of my life at Radio Clyde, and Derek Johnston. Not only do I regard him as a brilliant player, I thought he was a fantastic player. If it's such a thing as because of people looking at the big players that Souness brought in, Derek Johnston could have fitted into any team at his peak. Could play centre half, midfield, and striker, and of course, the banter we would have in the games. But in the build-up to one of the games, he he predicted Rangers to win every game in the Martin O'Neill era, and they were getting battered. So in the build-up to it, we'd absolutely caned him, and he said, "No, I'll give you my prediction on the day of the game." So Big DJ, the whole team were after him. They were all on his case. And as soon as we got to the start, just before the start of the game, "Okay, Derek, what's your prediction?" He said, "Well, I've had a look at both teams." And he did the usual roughie, that 2.5 minute build up. And he goes, "If Rangers can, if they can make sure Val Harren doesn't get on the end of anything from the set pieces, make sure Bobo Baldy doesn't get there, stop Thompson getting the crosses in with his left peg, make sure Petrov can't make those darting runs, keep the shackles on Sutton so he doesn't win any free kicks, make sure Hartson can't roll a player up front, and then keep the shackles on Hartson. 2-1 Rangers." And at that point, honestly, everybody just keeled over. It was absolutely classic DJ. But listen, it's all about opinions and, of course, guesswork. You never know what can happen. A red card can suddenly, dismantle all your thoughts and your plans as a manager. Who knows? I'll tell you, as far as Hearts against St Mirren, it's a different kind of pressure, because suddenly, there's criticism towards Robbie Neilson, and a lot of people are looking and thinking, well, maybe he's got to win this one. There's been a bit of vandalism around Tynecastle. A lot of people are not happy that he's receiving the criticism. Robbie Neilson himself has just told everybody, just calm down. We are on track for where we should be, Ruffy.
Yeah, you have meetings at the beginning of the season, and you try and get the fans on board to say, look, we want to be in Europe. I would like to think that Hearts fans are realistic enough. They're not going to split Rangers or Celtic, so third is the place, and even fourth if you get in. And I think they've been very, very good this year. The last 4 or 5 games, no. But you think of all the other games when they have been good. They've been the only team that's tested Rangers and Celtic at any particular time. So if you were a Hearts fan, I'd be waiting till the end of the season before you start getting them stick.
Yeah. Is it merited?
Yeah, I think it is over the last couple of weeks, Peter. I think Hearts have not been good enough, and I know living in Edinburgh playing with Hibs, I know that the expectations for the Hibs and Hearts fans are massive. They've got big expectations through there. If Hibs are not doing well and Hearts are doing well, then there's a lot of stick flying about and vice versa. But I agree with Ruffy. You've got to judge them at the end of the season. They've had a good run in Europe this season. They're still sitting in third place, albeit they're on a poor run of form at the minute. And they've got some winnable games coming up before they get into the split. So, no, I think if Hearts finish third this season, then again it's another successful season. They'll go into that Conference League again probably and pick that money up. So, no, I think some merited, and I think that the graffiti the other day was out of order. I think that might galvanise the team and the squad, Peter. I think that that can create a siege mentality within the dressing room. Robbie Neilson can use that with the players and say, listen, come on, we need to prove these people wrong and get them back on side again, and I think they will. I think they will tomorrow. I'd fancy them strongly to beat St Mirren at Tynecastle. Yeah,
St Mirren only one defeat in the last 5 games, and of course St Mirren looking to try and finish top 6. Stephen Robinson, even on his limited budget, has worked wonders. Could he be a nominee for Manager of the Year? Well, to hear his comments, we sent our reporter Kerry out there today.
Here at the St Mirren Training Centre this morning, Stephen Robinson is preparing his players to take on Hearts tomorrow afternoon at Tynecastle, and the Jambos will be desperately trying to avoid their 5th defeat in a row. But despite what's going on in Edinburgh, the Buddies boss says he's well aware of the quality that his opposition has.
It's a crazy job that we're in, crazy industry. St Hearts are sitting third, so I'd swap with them, I have to say. I'd like to do a swap with Rowan, but there's nothing surprises me in football anymore, and we have to solely concentrate on summer. I can't worry about anything else or any other noise around the game. It's what we do, how we cope with hard threats, because let's make no mistake, they're a very good side with very good players, and they've had a very good season, and everyone had sticky patches during the season. As I say, we have to just concentrate on ourselves and what we can get out of the game.
Former Hearts player Tony Watt says he understands the demand on the Gorgie side, especially when it comes to splitting the Old Firm. And to put it bluntly, he said it's pretty much impossible to do so.
Nobody's got to win the league inside Celtic. And there's a fact. It's no, if it comes up here and says, we're about to split the Old Firm, we'll better just come back down the road. It's not achievable. And maybe if Celtic Rangers have a horrendous time, but it's unachievable. It's not going to happen.
As the race for a place in the top 6 continues with just 3 games remaining to go before the split, but can Hearts put a dampener on St Mirren's top 6 dream? We'll find out tomorrow at Tynecastle kick-off is at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I must remember to invite Tony out for a party. He's a right barrel of laughs with that one, isn't he, Ruffy? He's killed off any hopes of anybody splitting them, isn't he?
I wonder how long it took him to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, well, he's on the money, isn't he? But I'll tell you, I don't know, but you know, sometimes he scored a goal last week. He just needs to settle down again and get himself in a place where I think he's happy with Stephen Robinson. Stephen Robinson knows what he gets from him.
Yeah, we keep saying that about him. He's happy, he's found somebody, he's putting an arm around, and then all of a sudden he's away somewhere. But no, I mean, I thought he took his goal particularly well last week, but I think they'll be looking for more of that, you know. But they have had a good season. I would think at the beginning of the season your objectives would be stay away from relegation and middle of the table. If you can get into the top 6, it brings us more money in at the end of the year to give the manager to bring more players in. So he's ticked most of the boxes so far.
Yeah, what did you predict?
I went Hearts 2-0.
I've gone 2-1, you?
2-0 Hearts.
Okay, Aberdeen against Kilmarnock. Aberdeen 4th, just a point behind the Jambos now. It's getting interesting. They won 4 of the last 5 league games. Barry Robson now there till the end of the season. Of course, player of the month as well up there at Pittodrie is Duke. So things are looking better.
Yeah, they are. You know, God, it's not that long ago since Darvel. You know, so yeah, things are looking better, and you can see the crowd. When Aberdeen are doing particularly well, the crowd gets bigger and bigger gradually, and they should be getting, like the same as Hearts, 14,000, 15,000 if they're on a good run.
They take a great travelling
support. They do, and they've got good record at home, you know, and I think it'll be a home win for me. You know, I just can't see them losing this one.
Yeah, Kelly with a good win over Hearts. I'll tell you, if they get anything from this game, it's an unexpected one again, but it tells you that there's maybe the revival on and they can get themselves away from that playoff or relegation battle.
Yeah, it was a massive result last week to beat Hearts, but listen, they are total Jekyll and Hyde. You know, home and away form. Their home form, Derek's already said this, you know, their home form would be up round about the European spots, and their away form they would be stone last. They'd be relegated. So I don't see it changing at Pittodrie. I think Aberdeen have got the bit between their teeth at the minute. They've got a hungry manager who wants to do well. They've got a hungry team who are playing for the manager, and I cannot see anything other than a comfortable Aberdeen win. Simply because you marry the fact that Aberdeen are flying at the minute and Kilmarnock are poor away from home. There can only be one outcome, that's 3-0 Aberdeen. Wow,
that is a big one. I'm delighted he's gone for that, Ruffy. It's the type of thing that only really gets him 2 points. I've gone tighter than that. 2-1 Aberdeen.
I've went in between. I've went 2-0 Aberdeen.
Comfortable 2-0?
Yes, very comfortable.
Okay then, for the Dons fans out there, Ruffy has given you the gauge completely. Isn't it amazing how he gets quicker to the point when it doesn't involve Celtic or Rangers?
Yeah, he waffles on about the Celtic Rangers.
Yeah, what about Dundee United and your old team Hibs, Ruffy? Because if ever there's a need for both of these managers to somehow come up with something, as Tam said there, you know, Hibs suddenly from a position where people are starting to warm to him again, they're starting to wobble with Lee Johnston, and Jim Goodwin, well, he's just trying to get in there and prove a point that he can save them.
Yeah, and I think there comes a time when you get a wee rub of the green and a result, and I went for that rub of the green at the weekend with Dundee United. I think Lee Johnston got off very lightly last week with that hammering from Motherwell. I thought I would have been more stick flying about, but obviously he's had some results before that. But I just think Dundee United, you know, will win just narrowly at the weekend, 2-1.
Yeah, if Dundee United do win just narrowly, then we really are in a situation where I just think it's cutthroat. I can't pick between the three of them. You know, I thought Malky with the addition of Brophy might actually have a wee chance to score some goals up there. But now I look at them and I'm thinking, okay, Kelly have pulled a result out nobody expected. Dundee United, I don't see anything. And then I'm looking at it and I'm saying this one's too tough to call. I've gone with Ruffy on this. I just think Dundee United might produce something 1-0.
Yeah, it's a hard one to call. I mean, you don't know what you're getting for both teams at the minute. I think Dundee United need to start winning games at home. This is a game they've got to win for me. You know, I think Kilmarnock will stay up this season because of their home form. I think they'll hope to win enough points at home when they're playing against each other, that will keep them up. But Dundee United need to start picking up points. 5 games without a win at this stage of the season is not good. Bottom of the league. Hibs, dreadful last week, but before that we're on a good run, playing well. It's a difficult one to call. I've went for one each, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me any result in this game because, I think if Hibs turn up and play well, I think they'll win. But will they? Who knows?
Yeah, all of the games now are getting to that what I call really, really tight, and it's tough. And the implications of losing a match suddenly can drag you into it. Motherwell are 8th, 9 points above the relegation playoff place. I think it's enough of a cushion, Ruffy. And I think the way Livingston are going at the moment, we're all raving about them, and then all of a sudden they've just gone off the boil.
Well, Motherwell will hit the right time to be on the boil. They're fantastic. Great result last week. Got a home advantage now. You're right. Livingston have not playing. I think they're lacking in goal scorers now. Bruce Anderson hasn't scored for a wee while. And you're looking about saying who else, where are the goals going to come from? You're not doing that with Motherwell because Motherwell have got the main guy up front, 20 odd goals he's got, Van Veen.
20 goals, yeah.
And I would expect him to score at the weekend as well. So, no, it's a Motherwell win for me.
And interestingly enough, David Martindale said something in our documentary that, of course, has been reiterated. He wouldn't like to see Celtic or Rangers quit quit Scotland because Livingston survive on the big away support coming. He said their model is based on away fans' ticket sales, not on selling season tickets to the home fans. And the amount of clubs who actually really survive on payoffs from elsewhere is quite alarming in our top flight, even the pyramid system.
Yep, and I'm sure they're not the only club that relies on it. St Johnston, maybe another one. Kilmarnock, teams like that. They're selling 4,000 or 5,000 away tickets. And that is for me the reason why we're not going to change the status quo of the 12-team league, because I don't think that the teams within the league now want to lose that money. When Celtic coming to town, Rangers coming, even Hibs and Hearts going to Livingston would take 2,000 or 3,000 if they're going well more. So Aberdeen as well. So he's totally right there, and that's why I think we're stuck with a 12-team league for the foreseeable future.
I've got Motherwell to win 2-1.
2-1 Motherwell for me, yep.
2-1 for me as well.
Yeah, wow, everybody trying to cheat on this programme now.
Ruffy's just cheating. Have you noticed Ruffy now? Yeah. I'm 3 points behind Ruffy.
Yeah.
And Ruffy is the last to pick.
Well, that's
so
what he does.
Just copies all my predictions.
Yeah.
So next week he'll still be 3 points behind.
Absolutely. That's what Ruffy does though, because
absolute joke by the way.
10 years.
I checked it and I clocked it today.
10 years. Why? Look at your faces if you're ready. You reminded me there. You reminded me of you went back to where you were brought up. I thought there you're going to just start a fight in a pub, aren't you?
A face to face at a boxing match.
You're a cheat. Yeah, get outside. That was just going back to type there. St Johnston against Ross County. Now, we've got a reporter, Alison McConnell, going up to this one because this is the nail-biting stuff, isn't it?
Hopefully she's turned her mic down a wee bit this week.
Well, she'll be excited with this one because
St Johnstone, Ross County, that could be a cracker.
I'm coming in a pair of headphones just in case.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think she's going to get a lot of goals, Ruffy, do you?
No, I don't, but I don't know what it is about Ross County. I just feel that they have been playing all right, but not picking up points.
You know, Jan sent us another message. She says, I'm absolutely delighted that Ruffy is caning us now.
I'm not caning.
It's going to give us a chance to survive.
I've said they will survive.
You think so?
You changed the prediction?
No, I've always been.
You got Kilmarnock down
at United.
Right, so you think they'll survive?
Yeah. I think they've been playing well within themselves, but just not getting 3 points. I think if he goes there and he gets a point, it's a start, because you don't want a gap when you get to the split. If you're only 2 points behind somebody when it comes to the split, you've always got a chance. So, but he needs to pick up points away from home.
So what have you got?
One each.
One each with that one.
I went for a wee upset here, Peter.
Yeah?
I have.
What is an upset?
I have went for 2-1 to Ross County.
2-1 to Ross County?
Yeah, you know what, this is a game where it could go either way, and I just thought nobody else will pick Ross County, so this is my chance to catch Ruffy.
And did he copy you?
No, he's went one each.
Well, so that previous
theory.
rant is just a noise up. I've gone St Johnston 1, Ross County 0. Sorry about that, Jan, but I'm wondering where.
I'm behind you, Jan.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen. Niall says Ross County St Johnston 1-1, lads.
It looks like stick on drawn paper.
Yeah, it really does.
Not for Ruffy.
Couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, lads. Of course, the English Premier League as well, and continue to drop in your thoughts on not only the big game but teams involving obviously the team that you support. Give us your thoughts on the Scottish Premiership. Of course, we'll talk about the big game tonight as well, Ruffy, in a moment. What about Ryan Gauld considering switching allegiance to Canada? I think that's fair play, because maybe there's been in the last couple of years times when he has been playing well that he's been snubbed.
Yeah, I think it's the same scenario as James McCarthy. You know, nobody gave him a phone call, and when that happens, you know, you've got to say to yourself, well, who wants me? And if Canada want him, you know, I'm sure he'll be very welcome. I think he's a really, really good player. I'm really surprised we've not brought him on board, you know, just to have a wee look at him in one of the Scotland setup.
I think Steve Clarke has the look at him. Just in an area where we're pretty strong midfield.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of number 10. He play behind the front man. Or I don't think we play that system at Scotland. So I understand. I completely get that. I think Canada. We've seen Canada in the World Cup. I thought they were really good. I'm impressed with Canada, and I think he will eventually go and play with them. But I was going to do the same when I obviously played in America. I was going to pledge my allegiance to America if I didn't get released after a year.
Is that right?
No.
I didn't think so. I looked at you and I thought to myself, and knowing your family, you're a get leathered. I mean, I looked at you there and I thought, he's picked a fight with you.
What's the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah, he's picked a fight with you, Ruffy. Yeah.
That.
You were never going to do that, Ruffy, because...
No, not at all, but I liked standing when I was at Orlando.
Oh, you had to do that.
Every game, you had to
national
learn the words.
played.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't see you doing that, but I didn't know you played in America. Anyway, what about the English Premier League? It's a great league because it's all mental, what's going on down there. Not only have you got to turn it around within a month now, but if you've been sacked from a club and you're a legend there, they bring you back, Ruffy. So you know, there's hope yet. We could have Martin O'Neill back at Leicester City. Lampard's back at Chelsea. You know,
Ruffy back at Glenafton.
Ruffy back.
Semi-final is Scottish. I couldn't be surprised. I didn't know they're doing well.
There's success after you.
Yes, there is, but they're using up all their managers down the bottom. There's Hodgson's back.
Well, Hodgson's back. That's a good point, actually. I mean, listen, Frank Lampard. It's a no-brainer to go back there for him. He's going to get a wedge to the end of the season. That's the first thing. Second part of it is, I wonder if he'll do something different this time around, though.
Peter, I cannot get my head around Chelsea. I cannot get my head. They paid 21 million compensation to get Potter. They paid 13 million to get rid of him, and they're bringing back a manager they've already sacked. It is absolutely mind-boggling. I read an article the other day as well that when Potter was doing his team talks, there was players sitting on the floor. There wasn't enough seats. There was that many players, and it's absolutely staggering the amount of players, the amount of money they've spent.
And the other one he came away with, Potter came away with, the owner said to him at the beginning of the season, we're going to spend wads of money in young players, and it might be like a 3 or 4 year deal, but we're quite happy, and they sack him.
Yeah,
that's a long-term project.
but as I've spoken to so many people, it's quite mind-boggling. It is, Tam, on the basis that they just seem to sign what is a red-hot player, but with no strategy on where they're going to play them and how they're going to fit into a system for the manager. I honestly think they've got a scattergun approach to whoever's hot will buy them, and then hopefully he'll fit in. It's just, as you say, strategically the whole thing is a mess. But Frank Lampard, he wasn't going to say no.
It's a pretty easy decision for me. This is my club. In terms of my playing career and having coached here before, so I have a lot of emotions and feelings towards the club. I'm also a very practical person, you know, and when you become a manager, you understand that you don't manage your own club, the club that you say is your club forever. And obviously I've been on a different path since I left Chelsea, but to come back in a time where the club have asked me to come and take the role, of course that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's the craziest league. It's becoming so crazy because not only are the decisions mind-boggling, but the owners have lost the plot.
Yeah, they are. And I'm not having a go at all foreign owners, but they're the ones that seem to be making the mistakes. We've seen some owners who don't even come to the games. Foreign owners who don't, they just stay away, you know, and it's a telephone call of what's happening, what we're doing, that kind of thing. It's the hands-on ones that seem to be doing well, but the ones that are not hands-on are struggling.
It's funny you saying that. I don't think it matters how often you're there. I think it matters if you've got a clear plan and strategy and you've got an understanding of what the business is about in football. And I think that's the key element to it. You know, there's no pressure, I don't think, on Jurgen Klopp. I think it's a transitional season. They're just going to have to suck it up from chasing a quadruple last season to this transition of changing the midfield, changing their team, and an owner who's, I don't think, going to sack Jurgen Klopp. Now, he's an American, he's not necessarily there all the time, so I disagree with Ruffy. I think the key issue here is people start making excuses that the Americans or the other owners are not there when the manager is not getting the results.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, some of them are probably there a lot more than others, but you know, Americans, we played in America. Yeah. American, they results. It's results business, results industry. And if you're not getting results, they'll just chop you and you'll get somebody else, and that's just the way it is in America and in every sport over there.
I think the point I'm trying to make is if the American or whoever it is isn't there, you're not getting a relationship with the manager. You're not getting a day-to-day, where are we going here, who do you fancy with it? That's the kind of thing. I think when it comes to the bad times, that relationship means you're out in your neck.
Okay, two managers who'll be hoping for a good outcome tomorrow, Ange Postecoglou and Michael Beale. It's Celtic against Rangers. We did ask the question at the start of the programme, and the quiz question was, name the last two Scottish managers that were in charge for an Old Firm derby.
I'll go for Walter Smith and Gordon Strachan.
And that is exactly what it was.
I was going to say Tommy Burns.
Walter Smith.
Yeah, it's Walter Smith and Gordon Strachan between 2005 2007. Incredible stuff. Don't worry, I just blanked it. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoy the game. If you're going to the game, enjoy it and get home safely. Of course, Rangers fans will be facing the prospect of going round to their mates' homes and basically enjoying it in a pub or possibly just with a few pints with their pals, hoping that Rangers can go there and get a win. The one thing that we do hope is it is only a game of football. Hopefully people can avoid abuse, harm, and of course just let it go. If it's good for you, enjoy your time. If it's not so good for you, lick your wounds and get on to the next game. I want to say hi to Jim Barney, who ran into, I think his wife ran into you, Ruffy, yes, just to say that he wasn't feeling well, watches the show, hopefully he's going to get back to full fitness.
Yes, he's a wee health scare, but he loves watching the show, wouldn't miss it, and his wife said it's a breath of fresh air because it means he's no way hurt for an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, get well soon, Jim. Hope you're feeling better.
Yep, mate. Absolutely, and remember,
keep
Jim,
off it with your wife and all, by the way.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. What I was going to say is, at least in the hour, Jim, you've got 55 minutes of opinion and then 5 minutes of just waffling from Ruffy until he eventually says 2-1 Celtic. So it's all about opinions. Thank you to so many of you who've given us your opinion on the day. As far as the competition is concerned, still one day tomorrow where you can get involved in it. Adam Binney will be here with Ruffy and Tam McManus. Here's what you can win. It's another magnificent competition courtesy of PLZ Soccer. This is your chance to win this fantastic framed and signed print of Brian Laudrup scoring for Rangers in that unforgettable game up at Tannadice. That goal secured Rangers 9 in a row, and for your chance to win, all you have to do is make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and answer this simple question: from which club did Rangers sign Brian Laudrup? If you know the answer, pop it in the comment section below and make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck. Yeah, good luck with that. Just before we go, Ruffy, how do you see tonight going? Big game for Partick Thistle against Queen's Park. Queen's Park starting to wobble.
Thistle. This could be the right time to get, obviously, Queen's Park. You know, I think it's maybe a do or die for Partick Thistle. If they were to lose this one, it'd be playoffs. You know, I still think there's a chance for Dundee, Tam's team, you know, Queen's Park, Thistle. air. Anybody that's there, they're all capable enough of beating each other, but this is a big one tonight.
Yeah. You think they can win?
Yes, I do. Home advantage. I think they're on a good run just now, not losing many goals, and scoring a few. All the best players are available. So, and as you said there, Queen's Park, wee bit of a wobble. So, it'll be interesting to see the final result tonight.
Okay, you going for Jags?
I'll go for hopefully a Thistle win.
Yeah, I think the Jags can do it as well. We're all three for Thistle tonight, yes. Ruffy. And the last point, Liverpool-Arsenal. I'm going for a Liverpool win to derail Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm a Man City, so I really do hope that Arsenal drop points.
Yeah.
Yes.
You going for a Liverpool win?
Yes.
I was unlucky last week, 4-1 Man City, 4-0 Man City. I'm going to go for 4-0 Arsenal this week.
4-0 Arsenal at Anfield?
Yes. Liverpool are poor now.
Yeah.
Arsenal
4-0?
4-0.
Can we have a tenner on it?
No. So I want to see your face on Monday when you get pumped again.
Well, you'll do well to see my face on Monday because I'll not be phoning you. I'll be watching the sun come up early. Thanks to Ruffy, thanks to Tam, and thanks to you. Join us if you can tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Kerry's got the preview. Certainly one to look forward to with Ruffy and Tam. And then at 4 o'clock, it's Adam Binney with Ruffy and Tam, and we'll have the managers and players, all the reaction from Celtic against Rangers and the rest of the Scottish Premiership and the lower leagues in Scotland as well. Join us if you can, 4 o'clock on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. From everyone here, have a great weekend.